These are four brothers, here to provide, guide, and share the heart-centered light from within, utilizing experience and perspective on masculinity as a whole. They now invite you to come on this epic journey to grow with them and watch the magic happen. The movement within.
What's up? I'm Josh. This is Cris. This is Johnny. This is Darrick. This week is our episode on awareness. What awareness is to me is basically being aware of the feelings that you put out towards other people, and kind of being aware of how they're getting that emotion that you're kind of putting out. That's really what awareness is to me in a lot of levels. What about you, Cris?
To me, awareness is, so when you're born, I think you are pure, right? You're pure, you don't really know anything, right? And then as you grow up, you start to get influenced by your parents, your brothers, sisters, whatever, and then the world starts to come into your head, and then like you are shaped, right? You are shaped in that kind of way. And then everyone's heard that term woke AF, right? Which is like you're reborn or whatever you want to call it. It's like you're trying to rediscover who you are while already knowing the world as it is. And so you're trying to like know yourself as well, which is super difficult. And I think that's where like the journey of like being self-aware truly starts.
I think two parts of that, right, is it goes much deeper than just the surface, right? The surface would be a conscious perspective, but what about your subconscious perspective, right? For example, to that exact point, right? I'm happy that you brought this up, because for an example of this is, let's say that you are learning all of this different shit throughout everything that the world is teaching, your parents, etc., but then your subconscious, your true self is sitting back here being like, well, wait, this isn't real, right? These are just masks, or these are just situations that this individual needs to go through in order to find their true selves, and it's up to them to put in the work to find out what their true self is, right? So it kind of relates to what you're saying, but I think there's always that deeper part, which I would relate to as your soul, that is really just being patient, waiting for you to really become woke as F, right? To really get to that point. But I think that actually brings up a really good talking point and topic, right?
I want to share that really quick. So I was talking to Darrick, I was texting Darrick a couple days ago, and we were talking about dreams or something like that, right? And I told him that I don't remember my dreams. And that night, I woke up the next day and I had a dream, and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I have to text Darrick. And I texted him, and he was like, dude, I don't even know what he said, but it was like really positive. And I was just like thinking about it, and I was like, I think this is like myself trying to tell me what I want, but like I know that I'm not ready to have that, but I see it that I want it, but I have to work towards that, you know? So it's like when you have dreams, I think that's what dreams kind of are, is like telling you things that like you need to work on. Like if you're thinking about it during the day and you try to push it to the back of your mind, but then you dream about it, then it's something that you have to deal with, or that's something that's like that you're thinking about a lot that you need to face.
I think there's another thing too about being aware. Like you need to be really aware of who you are and what you really want to do, because growing up you're always seeing like your parents do their jobs, being who they are. You kind of follow that. You need to realize who you really are as a person. Be aware of what you want to do in life. For instance, like my mom she worked at Albertsons when I was a kid. I thought I was going to be a bagger or a checker. You know what I mean? I don't know what you guys thought you guys were going to be when you were really young, but that's kind of what I was following. Or my dad was a construction worker, so I was like, oh, I'm going to be a construction worker, you know? But not until now that I'm kind of more aware, is now I'm like, oh, I want to be a realtor. Oh, I want to do this stuff with my buddies and maybe do some cool stuff on YouTube, you know? There's a lot of cool things about being aware.
Yeah, I think there's multi layers of just being aware. I mean, there's being aware with yourself. There's being aware, being truly aware of your spirituality, of who you are, being aware of what other people are, being aware of your relationships with them and what they are and what they do. You could just be aware of, you know, what certain types of shoes that work good for your feet, you know. That's the types of things that you want to be aware about, you know. And I think we do, we get born into this world with pure awareness and pure thought, and I think we get trained on these bad bad ideas of bad programming that have been taught through generations that brings us further away from our actual true awareness, and it gives us false awareness, and it brings in fears and flags and so many different things that it can manifest. But it could also be a huge great thing, you know, because from there you can start exploring a lot of other things about yourself, about other people, about why the things are the way they are, you know, especially with relationships. If you're aware of why you're treating somebody the way you're treating them, or the way that they're treating you, you know, it's a huge thing that you can grow on and evolve from. But I think being aware is a never-ending process. It's always going, it's always there, and you know, you gotta definitely work on being aware of those positive things, you know, be aware of those negative things, but don't give them the energy that it wants. Just recognize it and then put your energy into the positive awareness and the aspect in life.
Let me piggyback off that real quick, right? So think of it this way. Sometimes we are aware, but we're not even aware that we are aware, right?
Yeah.
Think about this.
Yes.
Think of those times where you may have reacted in a way that you never really, like, you didn't really want to do it, but you were too angry, too sad, or too mad, or whatever the case may be.
Worried about somebody else.
Exactly, right? And then later on, you're just like, shit, I feel bad that I reacted that way towards my friend, and I got up as upset as I did for whatever the reason may be, right?
Yeah.
That's you naturally being aware, organically being aware, because that's who you are as a human. That's what your true self is. But at the same time, even though you're naturally being aware, your conscious isn't being fully aware that you're being aware of those feelings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for, like, you're naturally going through that process, and your body is already telling you, or your mind is already telling you, like, shit, okay, I shouldn't have reacted the way I did, right? But then it takes a much deeper level for you to get to a point where you're like, you know what, that's not even who I am, right? It goes back to, like, you being aware of who you really are.
But then it becomes a part of you being aware that you were aware, but then you're aware that you went through something bad like that. You did something bad, but you become aware that you needed to do something bad to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's definitely multi-levels of it.
So one thing, right? So how can we all be more aware, right? I think that's an important question that we should all ask ourselves, right? And I think a lot of it, in my experience, is literally looking from within, right? A lot of times we want to project and look at all these other people's lives. I mean, that's why social media is as big as it is, because we're literally just so in tune with and wanting to know what everyone else is doing instead of looking within ourselves. And when we're looking within ourselves and we are really just listening to what our body and our mind and our spirit are telling us, then that takes you on a completely different path, a completely different level, right? Like, think of that, how many different times where you're just like, you've gone through those moments where you literally just feel like a robot, like a zombie. Some of the day you don't even remember the shit that what you're doing the entire time, right? But then other times you're sitting there when you are more keen and more aware of those situations, and you take in so much more, right? Think of the sun in the morning. Dude, when I was a kid, I could give two shits about the sun.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't
Every single day though, when I drive into work, I see the sun. I'm grateful for the sun. The sun gives me so much energy, puts a smile on my face, right? And think of that. And that took me what? I'm 31 now. That took me probably like what, 20 years maybe, right? Yeah. Because back then I didn't give a shit about it. I wasn't aware of how nice and how beautiful that could be in that situation.
How
just
great
the
it
smallest
feels.
things. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So how can you guys be more aware? That's the thing.
The best thing that I can become aware of, and you pretty much explained it, but on simpler, more layman terms, is just to be quiet. Listen to your surroundings. Listen to what other people are saying. Listen to your feelings. Stop judging and stop trying to put thoughts into things, and just be aware of them for what they are instead of portraying it as what you think it is. That's the best way to become aware on a true level, is just to really just be totally quiet and feel it and come into the moment or the feeling or the energy of whatever's happening. And I think that is the best way to become aware of everything around you, and including yourself. You know, meditation. What's happening in meditation is you're becoming aware of you, yourself, your surroundings, and much more deeper things than that.
See, to me, that's the definition of intuition. 100%. Right? You're being quiet, you're listening to your feelings. Now, the thoughts will come into your mind, right? But again, thinking what you may know or thinking what you want it to be the truth or whatever the case may be, most likely is not even the truth, right? How many times have we been in a situation, and I use jealousy the most because there was a lot of years I struggled with jealousy personally, right? But there's many times where, like, let's say my girlfriend at the time was talking to this other dude, and I'm just making up all this shit in my head, right? That's that ego, that negative energy is coming into me, and I'm just like, dude, I'm making up every bad scenario I could even think of, right?
Yeah.
But then come to find out, talk to her later, I'm heated or whatever, and she was just like, no, he was
I
just
sometimes
asking for
do that still. Like,
I'm just
but
like,
I
shit.
catch myself.
I do it too all the
I
time.
think-
I mean, you just get that feeling. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You just get that feeling.
So what do you do about it though, right? Like
You try to become more aware of being aware.
Yeah, I think if you notice it, like realizing, and you take a step back in your own head, and you're like, why am I thinking like that? And then you start, I like analyzed what I'm thinking about, and I'm like, I'm in my own head, you know, so I need to get out, and I just start thinking about something else, because that's something that I don't need to worry about if it hasn't even happened, you know, with that jealousy thing. I used to be like that, like 100%. You know, it sucks to say, you know, but like I would get so pissed. But you know, like I don't know. It's just something you learn, you know, and I think you have to be willing to want to learn and just be like bettering yourself. And I just think realizing those little things are actually big steps.
So like substance abuse, right? We think of like the 12-step program. Now I personally haven't been through it, but I have a lot of friends that have, right? From what I know, and again, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, right? Is the first thing is being aware, right? You got to be able to call out the issue and the problem firsthand, right? Is that one of the first steps?
I honestly don't know.
Admitting that you have the addiction, right? That's literally the first step, right? Just like, for example, jealousy. We were just talking about it. Jealousy, right? Once you're aware that you're feeling that jealous feeling and everything that comes with it, everyone has a different feeling, everyone has a different thoughts about it, then the question is, what do you do from there?
Yeah.
Right? Do you just push it aside and not deal with it, or do you really think, well, why do I have this feeling? What can I do about this feeling? You know, why do I have these thoughts in my head? And then again, maybe the fix in that moment would be affirmations. Talking to yourself down off of the ledge of feeling that jealousy, right? Like, it goes in step and it goes in line, but it rings really true in my mind right now to think and talk about the 12-step program that is provided across everywhere in any situation, especially, and it all starts with awareness.
And I think it's a good thing too, is to be, like he's kind of saying, is it doesn't really matter like if you're going through the situation of jealousy or anything, like you got to be more aware of yourself. Like you got to know that you're great, that if something is going on, then who cares? Like, then they're doing their thing. I mean, you're great the way you are. You're gonna find something else new, you know. I mean, you can't be always hung up on someone being jealous of somebody maybe doing something with somebody else, or I mean, it kills your whole relationship. I mean, I don't know if you guys,
even with yourself.
Yeah, even with yourself, because you hate yourself. Right? Yeah, you analyze yourself every single day. You know what I mean? And when anybody else comes in, you analyze them, you analyze yourself. It's horrible.
See, dude, this is perfect, right? So again, how does being aware, how does it help other people, or how does it help others, right? One example I want to share with you. So we meet often, right? And the whole purpose of this is so that we can meet. Obviously, we're all friends, we're all brothers. And me and Johnny, we actually showed up to one of our venues early, and I think I was having a hard time. This is the one at the library, right? I was having a hard time. I think I was sharing, expressing some of that with you, right? And then Johnny just flat out comes out. He's like, yo, I got a message for you, bro. Just flat out. He already wrote it down and everything, gave me the whole message, pure truth, helped me out tremendously. I actually have it. It's a screensaver on my phone. And I have it in 3 different sections with 3 different colors that I feel would, benefit me. But the whole purpose of it is Johnny, if he wasn't aware in that moment, he wouldn't have been able to give me any message in that situation, right? And if I wasn't aware and being open enough to share what was going on with me with him, then all that timing wouldn't have worked out the way that it did, and the impact wouldn't have been as strong as it was, right? So I'm sure everybody out there has had those moments and those times. Let's say it was a breakup, or let's say they were struggling financially or going through a hard time, but there was always somebody or something there for you in that moment, and that is literally because of the awareness that is brought forth, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but that just rang true for me, right? Is if I wasn't aware, if Johnny wasn't aware, shit, dude, there's many times we talk, and there's a bunch of stuff that we talk about and things come up, right? So, just something to think about.
I mean, just being aware, I mean, you can even put it on a simpler term from that. Just being aware, I mean, say you're playing baseball and you're on a baseball field and you're just more aware of another player, what to do.
Yeah.
And maybe not just aware of where the ball is, but you're more aware of what you can do and what you can do on that field. You know? It happens all the time. Just look at highlights.
Yeah.
So you think of like chess. That reminds me of chess, right? You're thinking of the move ahead. Well, but you wouldn't be able to think of the move ahead if you're not being aware of the current move.
I mean, those guys are professional.
Yeah.
Professional athletes that are professionally aware of that specific sport and that specific thing. I mean, it just hit me. What if you could get specifically professional and being aware about your own life? Imagine the possibilities. They're endless.
Yeah.
Absolutely endless, because within that you find yourself and you find happiness. And then within that you can help other people, and then within that you can change your world, you can change other people's worlds, and then you know, and then that's changing other people's worlds, and it just trickles out into a beautiful thing of awesomeness, you know. And throughout the whole thing you're always learning. I mean, through awareness there's ups and downs and lefts and right. There's nothing ever really golden all the time on this planet, but there might be soon.
Dude, talk about being aware, right? And like being aware in the moment. It's funny because like me, one, I'm very observant, right? And so I'm going through the motions of just sharing where I'm at, right? And Johnny's already called out twice on a more simplistic way of saying it, right? And that's where I am getting that cue of maybe I'm not being as simple as I could be, right? And I'm not taking that in a bad way, but I'm taking that in a learning way, right? Maybe I can use my words more wisely, or I can think of things in a different way and explain them in a different way that's going to help others understand where I'm coming from, right? And this is just in the moment, like this is literally in the moment right now, right?
And that's just being aware that all four of us have different opinions. That's why it makes it so much better, is because we have 4 different opinions for 4 different guys being aware in 4 different ways.
Yeah.
But it can all mesh together. It's all meant to be. It's just if we all choose for it to.
Okay, my son Noah was trying to put on his shoes, but they were already laced up, right? So I told him, Noah, he already had his left shoe on, and he was trying to put on his right one. And I was like, Noah, you have to untie your shoe and it'll be easier. I will tie it, it's okay. It'll take a second, but it's all right. And he was like, no, like I want to put this on right now. And I was like, what? Like I didn't expect that. He was like, no, he was getting frustrated. And I was like, Noah, dude, I don't know how else to say it. Just take off your shoe or untie your shoe and it'll be a lot easier. And he was like, no, still stubborn. And I was like, all right. He's like, my thumb hurts, because when you put he's trying to expand the back of the shoe with, he's like, my thumb. And I was like, I don't know how to explain this to you, dude. I was letting him just figure it out, right? And eventually he got his shoe on, doing it the difficult way. But sometimes I think you can't always help somebody. You have to let them do it on their own, and I was trying to explain it to Noah, dude, this is how I've been doing it. I've been untying my shoes and retying it, but if you don't want to do it, that's fine. You want to struggle, go ahead and struggle, but through that he learned, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just can't help everybody, and you just have to let them, even if it's
your own children.
Even if it is my son. I was like, dude, I want to help you, but I feel like this is a lot better, so if you want to do it the hard way, go ahead and do it the hard way. And I think letting others do things by themselves is, I feel like, probably one of the best ways that you could be, or help yourself be more aware. You know, like try new things. You know, go try skiing. If you've never been skiing, people like count themselves out before they've counted themselves in. You know what I mean? Like, you have to try new things, and I get people get scared, which is totally understandable. I get scared too, but I think it's those people that can jump that fear barrier are those stories that we hear.
Dude, just like Josh.
Just like me.
Just
right.
Yeah, tell him what happened.
Tell him
what happened
What,
before
right
this
now?
video.
Yeah.
I struggled. No, yeah, I struggled a little bit being in front of the fucking camera. I'm not lying. But it's cool.
Share the story, bro.
Share.
I've been struggling for a while. I mean, this is all new to me. I'm not lying. So yeah, being
They don't know what you're talking. Like, give them the specifics.
of what?
How
My
we
life?
started.
Like today and starting the video.
Oh, the opening.
Share the journey. Yeah.
So the opening of the video was a little bit hectic, for me, but I got over it. Hopefully, it's not too bad for everybody, but that's life.
But what happened was, okay.
I grew from it. I grew from it.
This is what.
The awareness from the situation, I grew from it. And I just kept going, I guess. Is that what?
Well,
Overcame the hurdle.
It's the fear
Overcame the
barrier.
hurdle, yeah.
Go ahead. You can
I
tell.
think well, he's saying he was pretty
I
much
hopped the hurdle.
he was having false awareness, aka fear,
Voices in my head.
ego, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
And it made him pause up, and you know, I think we all kind of have it in us. It's kind of like a fear of falling, but you just learn to be comfortable with it.
It's life.
Dude,
right?
he was about this close to giving up. He's like, no, I'm not doing it.
He's lying.
I'm not doing it anymore.
He's
And
lying.
then all of us, with all the love in us, said, no, you're doing it. Like, there's no stopping this. We're gonna sit here all night, all day, whatever, until it's done, right?
And
then
he
you
did beautiful.
hop the hurdle, yep, and then boom.
You saw it. You saw the intro.
Let's say you're driving down the road, you're listening to the radio station, and there's just that one song that comes on, and you're like, damn, this is a good song. But I never really listened to the words of this song, right? How many of you really truly listen to the words in that song, and how much some of those songs can benefit your life in the moment?
Or make them worse.
Go
Yeah,
back.
or
Go,
make 'em
yeah.
worse.
Well, part of that is it's always actually making it better, in my opinion, right?
It depends on what you're listening to.
Yeah.
Well,
You listen to Rap and U92 all day, it's not very positive.
Well, no, it's not, right? But that can also give you an opportunity. If it's making you feel like shit, you have a choice to get out of it,
Oh,
right?
yes. All
But to Chris's point, where Chris is like, you know, I was having that dream all of a sudden and
Yeah.
sharing it with me, right? The funny thing was, is what he left out was we were having a conversation before he fell asleep that night, and he was talking about I never remember my dreams, da 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 da, and I said, you know what? It may actually happen, and then the next morning, bam, that shit happened, right? But that's because he was being more aware, he was being more open to it, and that just happened to be in that moment, in that time where he was ready to be open for that situation, right? Same thing with the music, same thing with the songs. You're right, there are some songs, like dude, think of like Boys the Men back in the day, On a Bending Knee. I don't know if you guys ever listened to that, right? But dude, there's no self-love in that in that song.
I don't know what that song is.
Oh, you guys? Okay, well, we'll listen to it and I'll show you. And think of anything, right? Think of like in a situation where, let's say you work in a call center and you just happen to talk to that one member or that one person where they said something that was just pure truth, but in the moment you don't even recognize or realize what they were saying. Right? Like, it literally can be in any situation, anything that you can think of.
It's
It's
a
just
little
a matter
time
of...
capsule sometimes.
Yeah.
Awareness definitely is time capsules in it.
Yeah, you just gotta be open to
Just
it,
pop
right?
up.
And that's a choice. You always have that choice to be open to it.
Yep.
No matter what time of day, no matter what situation, no matter what it is, right? I told you guys about like the alleyway and the sidewalk analogy, right? You always have a choice, right? You can go down the alleyway or you can go down the sidewalk, right? It depends on, you intuitively where you want to go. Either way, you're gonna learn something.
Yeah.
Either way, you're gonna benefit from it. Alleyway, you may get beat up or some shit, right?
Yeah.
But you're still gonna learn from it. You're probably not gonna go down the alleyway again,
Yeah,
or you go down
you
the
might-
sidewalk and
or you
trip
might just
and,
be
and
fine.
break your arm. Exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But again, it's all in where you're gonna go on your path,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. I agree.
True.
I mean, just being aware and for yourself is definitely the number one thing. And being aware can just help you immensely. It can get you from point A to point B with a lot less negative things happening. You know, when you become more aware, you start attracting the least resistant path, towards your highest goals, which is awesomely a beautiful thing, but it takes work. It takes trust within yourself. It takes patience. I mean, awareness has a lot of intuition. It has other people's emotions and feelings if you let them in there. But it's I think it's definitely one of those beautiful things that once you start becoming aware of being aware, then you start growing from there on a crazy journey.
It all starts with you, right? You always. I mean, that's why I say choice. You always have that power.
Your free agency. You gotta want it. And you gotta want to ask for it, and you gotta put effort into it. That's just there's a big difference between knowing something and then actually putting it into your life and putting the effort into it. It's a huge difference there.
Well, memory that I have, right? So like, I'm not baptized in any type of religion. I actually don't believe in organized religion, but I did dabble in it when I was finding myself, and I was really trying to see who I really am and if I should get baptized or whatever or whatnot, right? So I've gone to like literally almost every type of church you can think of, and it's funny because when I was doing that, I became more and more aware. It didn't matter if it was LDS or if it was Catholic or if it was non-denominational. It doesn't matter what it is, right? But literally, like every single time I went, I was always able to find the message that I was hearing. And it's funny because when I was in those moments, it was exactly what I needed to hear, right? Me and Cris went to a church, a non-denominational church, right? Just to check it out. It's one that I've checked out a few times, and dude, it was crazy. Like the messages in there were crazy if you're open and willing to listen to what it is, right? Just because you're in a church doesn't mean that you still can't receive that message. Same thing if I went to an LDS church, right? My buddy was speaking in one of them, and it was crazy the amount of truth that was just coming out. I don't even think he realized how much truth he was spitting at that time, right? It doesn't matter in those moments, but again, the whole purpose is awareness, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it makes you a better person,
more power to you.
More power to you. Go for it,
And sometimes it needs to make you a not so good person in order to get to that place of being a good person.
Oh yeah.
I'm a pure example of that. I had to see my worst self, literally my worst self, before I could see my best self, right? And it had to work out that way.
Yeah. Well, you had to see that, plus you had to be the awareness of knowing that that's who you are before you have to change yourself.
Yeah.
Being aware of somebody that you totally truly don't know who that person is can be quite scary, but I mean that can be the first step into becoming aware, is admitting that you don't know what you're doing and you're maybe not exactly who you think you are, because you might be following somebody else's ideas or opinions or somebody else's awareness that they have. Maybe you're going to a guru or some some person that tells you how to think and how you should do it spiritually and all this, and I just think it's just more beautiful when it comes from within yourself, and you can find that within yourself. It's a harder path, but it's definitely worth it.
I think the younger the better too. Like, I don't know if anybody's gonna be watching this that's like young, you know what I mean? But like if you're like 17, start now, like putting yourself through situations that are going to benefit you, or just so you be more aware of your surroundings.
That's so funny, dude, because when I was 18, I was like, I don't know what I want to do, and so I worked at like this retail store for like 4 years, because I was like, I don't want to go to school. And then when I was turned 22, not just the day I turned 22, but when I was 22, I was like, what am I doing with my life? I have to do something. And that's when I started to become aware. Like, I don't know how it happened. I just know, like, I would just start little bitty things. Like, I just realized what I was doing and what my actions were doing to others and how I was affecting other people around me. And that's what, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I'm not trying to tell you how to do it, because I don't know how I did it. It just happened. I think it was just like, I don't even know. I don't even want to tell you what happened, because I don't fucking know. But like, when I turned 20, when I was 22, it just happened. Like, I was like, what am I doing? I want to do something, and then here I am, doing something, trying to do something, I think.
Yeah, we're doing.
I think it kind of happened for me too. Like, I don't even remember really what age, but I mean, I remember the first time I got a job. I mean, I used to sell a lot of things back in the day, but they're really bad things. But I remember one day I woke up and it was I think it was like 19 or something, and I just kind of started thinking in my head like I kind of owe it to like everybody else. Like I'm sleeping until like noon every day, not really making something of myself. I'm just kind of like going at life just here and there. Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, you just gotta follow it through. Like you gotta change them. I don't know how it happens, but
it sounds like we both questioned what we were doing.
Right.
Like we questioned our life. Like,
yeah, just
why am I here?
Well, you can always.
I want to do something.
Yeah,
And
everybody
so
else
we were
is
just-
doing something. Like, why am I not like that? You know, like
Yeah,
cool,
that's
'cause
how
you-
I felt too.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I want to do something, and then it just turns out like I wanted to help other people. And maybe this is the way. I have no idea. Maybe it's through my brand. I have no idea. Through my blogs, I have no idea. Right? Like, I just wanted to do something.
Yeah, we all do.
And we're doing it. But I think, yeah, definitely awareness has like those layers. Like I said, it's come up more and more and more.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when I was in school, most of the time I was like, this is all BS. And most of it was all BS. I don't use any of it. Most of the stuff that I use today is I've learned all before 6th grade. Because I just don't agree with what the educational system is showing us, what's giving other children, what it's giving us. I think it's very one-sided. I felt like I knew that I had awareness of that back when I was younger, but I didn't really know I was aware of it. I would act out to it, but now I know I was more aware of it, but I was acting out in a different way. So it's just crazy how there can be so many different levels to it.
Yeah, everyone's is gonna be different. Like mine, his. Everyone's is gonna be different. Everyone has on their own journey, their own path. That's why I think like judgment comes in. Where like, don't judge somebody else if you're like in a different position than they are. Like that doesn't make sense. I have a hard time with that because I judge people. I'm noticing it a lot more now. So like, because I used to like. I didn't want to associate with people that smoked weed. Like I was just like, nah, that's whack. Like that's dumb. Don't do that. I don't want to hang out with you. But like at the same time, like now I'm realizing like if they want to do that, that's fine. Like go ahead and do that because that's not my life. That's your life. You know what I mean? And like I think it's just judgment. I think if you just realize those things, I think you're a little bit better off.
I think this is going to end up being the end of this episode, which has been a really, really, really great episode. I'm excited about it. We're having fun doing this, and we hope all you guys had a really good time watching this. Catch us on our Facebook page or our Instagram page, on our vlog page, and yeah, we love you all, and catch us next week. It's going to be about feelings and emotions, and it's going to be great. Love you guys.
See you
Bye.
guys.
See ya.